What's up, you guys? It's your girl Sharia Byers, and I am back with another video. And this video is about handling heartbreak and healing your heart from the inside out.
Imitation isn't flattery, it's just annoying me. And I'm too about it. And the dirt that they threw on my name turned to soil, and I grew up about it.
So the past few weeks, God has slowed my life down completely, told me to stop working, stop creating, and listen to his voice. He wants to trust me with the next version of my life, but I have to become the type of person that can access those things and can actively heal from some of the things that I've experienced in the past and forgive some of the people that I am struggling to forgive. And he told me that he can't trust me for that new dimension of who I'm called to be until I have healed from my past. And this has been a journey, y'all. I have been crying, journaling, praying, getting on my knees, thanking God, actually talking to myself. I feel like I'm more crazier than ever because now if I have a thought or something, I'll be like, well, why? How? Why? I'm actually asking myself questions that I've never done before. I feel like it's really easy for me to do my hair, my nails, and put lotion on my body and take care of my outer body, but I feel like it's really hard to take care of the inner version of you and your inner soul and the inner depths of who you are. And that's what this journey has been about for me. So I am not an expert on this, but I do feel adequate enough to talk about it because I feel like God has been teaching me and showing me what it means to look inside. The first thing that I am learning on this process is that forgiveness is a choice. It's not a feeling. Feelings are temporary. Feelings can come and they can go. But when you make a choice, you're making a choice, especially to forgive. You're making a choice to relinquish that person from the hurt that they've caused you. Not saying that you are choosing to forget about the hurt or choosing to ignore the hurt, but you're choosing to not be tied to that hurt any longer. I had to first relearn what forgiveness actually is. But no one actually teaches us what is forgiveness and what does it actually mean to forgive and how we can actually forgive. And I'm gonna drop some videos that I've been getting, that I've learned and I've watched the past couple weeks of what it actually is and how I can do it and how I can relinquish that person from that pain and not relive those same traumas. So there's me and there's a string attached to me, and on the other end is that person, and it's attached to that person. It's the trauma, it's the pain, it's the lies, or whatever that actual act is that they've done to you. You walk that string, and that person follows you wherever you go. And over time, the string may feel like it's longer, like you're getting further away from that person, but in actuality, you just keep walking and they're just further behind you. But it's not like you actually ever cut the string from that person and the things that they've done. So you can see the string as the pain, the lies, the hurt, all of the things that they have done, and all of that is attached to the string. And the person is just further back. So even if you move across the country and you move into a new state or city or an apartment or in a new relationship, you may feel further away from that person, and that pain may not hurt as bad until you encounter that person again, but you're never actually getting healing from the pain that they've caused you. And if I'm honest, yes, time and moving across the country has separated me from the person or the thing that has caused me that trauma. But if I'm honest, when that thought or that person comes up, it's that string just wrapped back around and they're standing right in front of my face. And then I have all of the things that was attached to that string is just sitting right in front of me now instead of behind me, because now something has triggered me to think about or to react or respond out of anger or hurt or trauma from what that person has done. That bothered me because I'm away and I thought, I had forgiven and time has happened and I forgave that person. But the moment something happened that reminded me of that, or that person came back up, all of that just came fluttering down on me again, and I was confused. I'm I'm not even in the same country anymore. I'm not even, my life is so much better now. I'm not even thinking about it actively or daily. It doesn't bother me. And then I realized that it's only not bothering me because I'm not actively thinking about it, or I'm not actively being triggered by it. The string just reminds me of it can feel like it's behind you and it's far away from you, but in actuality, the moment something happens, that string, you're just switching spots. So now the person that's in front of you attached to the string of all the things that they've done to you, and now you're looking at that hurt and that pain in the face. For me, I'm at a place where I don't want anybody that has hurt me in the past to have access to me. And I don't mean like cut them off access, but I mean access to like the inner me, like the me that I'm trying to grow and become and lay hold of all of the promises that God has for me. Like, why would I want that person to have access to me? Like, I'm ready to cut those ties. That trauma came up again. I'm like, God, like, if I'm honest, I blame God. Because I'm like, God, every time you tell me to forgive this person, I do it. Every time you tell me to contact this person and have a conversation, I do it. I put myself out there, and every single time that person, like, it's like I don't know what they do, but they take everything I felt like I had just gained away. And that hurt me. And I was like, God, I feel like you're the one that keeps telling me to go after it and have an open heart and an open mind and an open soul. But yet you kind of keep burdening me too, because you keep putting me in those positions. I resented God a little bit because I felt like God told me, he spoke to me clearly on everything else in my life. But with this one situation and this one person in particular, it was like he would go quiet and just say, forgive him. And I'm like, okay, but like, how do I keep thinking I'm doing that, but I'm clearly not. So like, can you give me a little bit more instruction? And he did, actually. He just told me again, like, this is the season for you to forgive. That version of me didn't actually change until I sought after it and I was seeking how to forgive, because I thought I was doing it, but I clearly wasn't. So now I was like, okay, now it's time for me to try something else. Now I have to actually go find it. How do I find what forgiveness is? And the moment I did that, God gave me all of the answers. Forgiveness is more than just saying you forgive them and you try to forget about what they did, because you can't do that. That pain sometimes runs really deep, especially speaking from somebody that happened, somebody so close to you. You can't just forget that pain. So the first step was seeking it and actually wanting to learn how to forgive and opening myself up and telling God, like, God, I don't know how to do it. And I keep saying I don't know how to forgive, but like, I want to learn. And I felt like that was the moment where God was like, now I can show you. Because now it's not just something that you say you want. Like, now you actually want to learn. And the moment I actually wanted to learn is the moment where I'm getting like butterflies inside, because that was the moment where I felt like God was like, now I can trust you with the process. You know what I'm saying? And now I can trust that your heart actually wants to learn this thing. I truly feel like not only am I have that string, but now I feel like I'm taking that saw, and maybe it's not even a string. Sometimes it's thicker and it's deeper. The pain is deeper, and for me, it is deeper. So like, it's a string, but sometimes it's a rope. Sometimes it's a rope that you can't just cut with a pair of scissors. Sometimes it takes some sawing to get down and to fully relinquish that. And for me, like, that's what it is for me. Like, it still hasn't happened overnight, but I feel like I've submitted to the process of seeking and learning what it is. And now I'm actually starting to see some of the things that God is teaching me through it and showing me how to change the framework of what they did. The main thing is changing the framework of the trauma, changing how you see it. Because there's nothing you can do to change the pain, like in the actual act that the people or person did. You can't change the act. You can't go back in time. You can't erase it. You can't tell yourself to forget about the actual act. The only thing you can do is change the way you see the act and how it affected you. Say you were cheated on, and you can't forget what happened. You can't forget what the person said to you. You can't forget who the person was with. You can't forget those things. This is the frame. Because they cheated on me, I then went on a journey of isolation. I then went on a journey of finding God. And then I also learned how to find myself. I learned what I like, what I don't like. I learned how to love me. That's you changing the frame of what they did. But what did they do? How did it shape you? Like, how did it change you? Because at the end of the day, you can't stop trauma. Like, trauma and heartbreak is gonna happen. Like, it's inevitable. We can't stop it. It's a part of life, actually. The only thing that we can do is change our perspective of how we see it. So I learned how to put everything that's happened to me in a frame, and in a picture frame. So the picture is actually the hurt, but then the frame is the part that looks nice, that make the picture even a little bit better. And the frame is just basically what I've learned from it and who did I become as a result of it. That has been like the most powerful thing for me, is changing the frame in which I see. Okay, so going back to our string analogy. So when you forgive, you're forgiving because you no longer want to allow that person and that trauma to be tied to your life for the rest of your life. I no longer want to carry them into my destiny or into the version of me that's trying to grow and become. Like, I don't have enough on me to be carrying that. You know what I'm saying? I have to relinquish some of the things that's holding you back. And I feel like when you have a heart that is hardened because of pain or trauma or some type of heartbreak, like when your heart is hardened, how can you be open-hearted to what God is trying to bless you? Sometimes that even affects the people that God is trying to place into our lives to help us get to our destiny. But we don't trust them because they look like the person that hurt us. Sometimes our heart is so hardened that we can't allow that new version or those people to help us get into our destiny. So when you forgive, you are choosing to not allow that person, trauma, and thing to walk into the next version of who you are. Does that person deserve to go with me to the promised land? Like, no. No, and if they do, they deserve to go on their own accord, but not off of who I am and who I am called to be and my gifts and my spiritual talents. Like that, they can't ride my train and think they're just going to get like the leftovers. Like that doesn't work like that. I refuse to allow anything to slow me down, because think about it. If your heart is open and pure and cleared and you are healed, you're going to get to the promised land and the best version of you a lot faster than the version of you where your heart is hardened and you got some trauma carried on your back and you're dragging me along with you. It's going to take longer to get there because you have more weight, more unnecessary weight, you know? Ephesians 1:18 talks about how when our hearts are hardened, our eyes are unclear. That just goes to show that, like, if there's something holding our heart from growing, like, we can't see clearly. And for me, that's where I am. Like I'm a visionary. I have crazy visions sometimes. But recently, I'm like, God, I want to get a vision for the next commission of who I'm called to be. And he's like, you can't see it clearly. Even if I gave it to you, you wouldn't actively know how to walk into it because your heart is not clear. If your heart is not clear, your eyes can't be clear. You have to get to the point where you refuse to allow that person to hold on to the best and the most precious version of you. Like, no, like it starts with just that knowing that they're stopping you from getting to where you want to go and stopping you from God blessing you completely and giving you the promises that he's promised you, because your heart is hardened and your eyes can't see clearly. You can't fully go after that vision if there's something holding you back. So the next version of you requires your heart. And you have to learn how to clear your heart. And clearing your heart has to deal with healing your heart from the things that you don't talk about, or the things that trigger you, and that when they're brought up in conversations where you feel angry or bitter or like your emotions, like something in the inside of you gets overwhelmed. Like that's the thing. Like whatever that thing is, that's the thing that you have to learn how to heal from. The journey is not easy, but it's rewarding, y'all. Like I'm just a couple weeks in and I already feel like my spirit, my soul is lighter and more at peace. As some of those things come up, I am literally replacing them with truth, because a lot of my traumas have to deal with me seeing myself as inadequate and small and not good enough and not enough, and comparing myself to people, because that's what happened to me when I was younger. Because at first you don't realize where they come from. You have to find the root of where they come from. When those things come up, I'm like, well, why do I feel like that? And then 99% of the time I've asked myself that question, I can go back to the actual moment when I was younger where I felt that, or the moments as an adult where I felt that, and that's where it triggered and that's where it first started. So as you go through this journey and as you figure out like what that thing is that triggers you, that makes you feel like something on the inside of you is uneasy, like when you find that thing, ask yourself, like, why do I feel this way? So that you can get to the root of why you feel that way. And once you find the root, man, I'm telling you, that's where God can do the work. Do the root and don't try to cover it up with anything to distract you from it. Get to the root and start asking yourself questions like, why do I feel inadequate? Why do I feel lonely? Why do I feel like I have to compare myself? And The moment I've done those things, I just kept asking myself questions, and the actual answer was revealed to me of where it actually started. Now I'm in the journey, I'm the part of the journey where once I figure out where it started, now I'm starting to replace that thought with truth about who God says I am. So me saying that I'm inadequate, like, God did not create me to be inadequate. God created me for abundance. Like, that's a part of my name, was to multiply and to live in abundance and not to be fearful. And like, he didn't create me with the spirit of fear. So now I'm starting to replace the initial thing, the initial root of whatever the thing is that my heart told me that I was, that I've been carrying it for my whole entire life. Now I'm in the part of my journey where I'm replacing that lie with truth, because it's a lie. It comes from the enemy, and that is why he wants you to feel like you can't, or you don't have it, or you're not enough. Because if you feel like that, you won't act in abundance. And I'm just at a place where I have to act in abundance. I have to know the truth about who God says I am. So I'm reading my word, I'm eating my word, I'm watching sermons, I'm learning teachings about like who God says I am, because those are going to be the things that remind me of the truth and why I was created. Once I know why God created me, his original intention, I can move in that, and I can replace the lies and those inadequacy feelings with truth about who God says I am. So I hope that this starts the journey of the process of like realizing that maybe the reason why you haven't fully fulfilled, or you don't feel fully fulfilled, is because there's something in you that is eating you from the inside out, and it's stopping you from becoming the person that God has created you to become, because you haven't healed from a heartache or a heartbreak or a trauma or some type of issue that you have not acknowledged and dealt with. So I hope this just starts the process, because your girl's on the process. I don't have all the answers. I just wanted to share what I felt like God was telling me to share about starting the journey and starting the process. And if you are a woman, I do have something called Wise Women Conversations, where on Wednesday we meet and we talk about some of these things, and we bring up some of those traumas and we work through them together, because sometimes it's better to do it in a community. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I hope this blesses you. I hope that you get to the root, y'all. Get to the root of where that pain and that trauma has started, so that we can learn and we can grow and become the best versions of ourselves, because the world is ours, okay? It belongs to us. All right? So I love y'all, and I'll see y'all later.
I've been losing friends and finding peace, but honestly that sounds like a fair trade to me.